A humble waitress serves a millionaire his last meal before life-threatening surgery. Her kindness becomes his reason to survive. But when he wakes up and proposes, will she believe his heart is genuine or just the medication talking? Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The rain fell in heavy sheets across the city as Emma Collins wiped down the last table of her double shift at the Bluebird Diner. At 32, Emma had mastered the art of the perfect coffee pour and memorized the names of every regular who walked through the door. But after 10 years of serving others, she still hadn't figured out how to serve herself, how to escape the endless cycle of rent checks, student loan payments, and helping her younger sister through college. "You can head out, Emma," called Diane, the night manager. "I'll finish closing." Emma glanced at the wall clock. 11:45 p.m. "You sure? I don't mind staying." "Go home, honey. You've been here since 7 this morning." Emma untied her apron, revealing a simple blue uniform dress that had seen better days. She gathered her things from the employee locker, counting her tips. Decent, but not great. Still, every dollar counted. The bell above the door chimed, and Emma suppressed a groan. Late-night customers were rarely worth the trouble. "Sorry, we're closed," Diane called without looking up. "Please," came a man's voice, quiet but commanding. "I just need a cup of coffee. It's been a long day." Something in his tone made both women look up. The man standing in the doorway was tall, impeccably dressed in what Emma recognized as an expensive suit, though it was now rumpled and damp from the rain. His dark hair was disheveled, and behind designer glasses, his eyes looked hollow with exhaustion. "Sir, the kitchen's closed, but I can get you some coffee to go," Diane offered. "Actually," Emma found herself saying, "I can serve him if you want to finish closing." Diane raised an eyebrow but nodded. 15 minutes, then I'm locking up." Emma led the man to a booth by the window, where the streetlights illuminated raindrops racing down the glass. "Just coffee?" He settled into the seat, with the careful movements of someone in pain. "And whatever food you might still have available." "I haven't eaten all day." Emma studied him more carefully. Despite the expensive clothes and the subtle gleam of a luxury watch on his wrist, there was something vulnerable about him. "Kitchen's closed, but I can make you a turkey sandwich. Best in the city." A faint smile touched his lips. "That would be perfect. Thank you." As Emma prepared the sandwich in the kitchen, she found herself wondering about the stranger. He didn't fit the profile of their usual late-night customers. Businessmen typically traveled in packs, loud and demanding after happy hour. This man seemed solitary, preoccupied. When she returned with the sandwich and coffee, he was staring out the window, his reflection ghost-like against the night. "Here you go," she said, setting down the plate. "Made it special." He looked at the carefully arranged sandwich with a touch of surprise, as if he hadn't expected such care. "Thank you, Emma," he said, reading her name tag. "You're welcome, Mr. Harrington. Nathan Harrington." He took a sip of coffee, closing his eyes briefly. "This is excellent. Secret's in the timing," Emma said, about to walk away. "Would you?" Nathan hesitated. "Would you mind sitting for a moment? Unless you need to leave." Emma glanced at Diane, who was counting the register with pointed slowness. She shrugged and slid into the booth opposite him. "Rough day?" Nathan took a bite of the sandwich before answering. "You could say that. I just came from the hospital. Tests, consultations, preparations." "Are you sick?" The question slipped out before Emma could catch herself. "Sorry, that's none of my business." "It's all right." Nathan set down the sandwich. "I have a condition, a tumor near my heart. Relatively rare, complicated to remove. I'm having surgery tomorrow morning." Emma's eyes widened. "And you're here alone? Eating diner food?" A dry laugh escaped him. "The irony isn't lost on me. Worth $40 million. And here I am having what might be my last meal in a 24-hour diner." "$40 million?" Emma couldn't help but echo. Nathan waved a hand dismissively. Real estate development mostly. Started with one building 10 years ago and kept going. The Harrington Group now owns property in 14 states. And there's no one waiting for you tonight? Before your surgery? Emma asked softly. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time. So if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Something shadowed his expression. My assistant booked me a suite at the Westmore. There's a car waiting outside. Everything arranged with perfect efficiency. But that wasn't what she'd asked. And they both knew it. Nathan took another bite of his sandwich, then said, "This really is excellent. Did you make this yourself?" Emma nodded. Old family recipe. The secret's in the herb mayo. It reminds me of something my grandmother used to make, Nathan said, his voice softening. Before everything got so complicated. They fell into silence as Nathan ate, and Emma found herself noticing details. The precise way he handled his utensils, the faint scar above his right eyebrow, how he occasionally pressed his hand to his chest as if to contain something painful there. "What time is your surgery?" she asked finally. 7 a.m. I'm supposed to check in at 5. He checked his watch. In about 4 hours. Emma's eyes widened. "And you're not resting?" Nathan shrugged. "Couldn't sleep. The doctors gave me the odds today. 70-30. That's good, right? 70% chance of success?" His expression remained unchanged. 30% chance of dying on the table. The bluntness of his words hung in the air between them. Emma didn't know what to say. In the diner, she'd heard countless stories. Breakups, job losses, family dramas, but nothing like this. "Do you have family?" she asked. "Friends who know." Nathan took a long sip of coffee. "My parents died years ago. No siblings. As for friends," he smiled ruefully, "I have business associates, employees, people who want something from me." Amazing how clear everything becomes when you might die tomorrow. "You're not going to die," Emma said firmly. 70% is good odds. "Maybe." Nathan studied her face. "What about you, Emma? What's your story?" Emma laughed softly. "Nothing as dramatic as yours. Single, working double shifts to help my sister through nursing school. 10 years serving coffee and dreaming of opening my own bakery someday." "A baker? Not what I would have guessed." "Oh? What would you have guessed?" Nathan considered her thoughtfully. "Someone creative." "Artist, maybe." "You have that observant quality." Emma felt her cheeks warm under his gaze. No one had looked at her, really looked at her, in a long time. "I was an art major, actually. Before my parents died, and I had to drop out to care for my sister." Nathan's expression softened. "I'm sorry." "It was a long time ago," Emma said, the practiced response coming easily. "We managed. And the bakery dream? Still, just a dream. Need capital for that." Nathan nodded, understanding the universal language of financial constraints even if he hadn't experienced them personally in years. Diane cleared her throat loudly from across the diner. 5 minutes, Emma." Emma started to rise, but Nathan reached across the table, his fingers briefly touching her wrist. "Wait, please." He pulled a small notebook and pen from his jacket pocket. "Would you do something for me?" "What is it?" "Write down your bakery dream. What it would look like, what you'd serve, where it would be, everything." Emma stared at him, confused. "Why?" "Because," Nathan said simply, "I'd like to have something hopeful to think about. When they put me under tomorrow, I want to hold on to something real, something beyond myself." The raw honesty in his voice struck Emma deeply. She hesitated only a moment before taking the notebook. "Okay." As Diane impatiently jingled her keys, Emma wrote quickly, describing the small bakery she'd imagined for years. The sunny corner location, the display cases filled with French pastries and artisan breads, the community table where locals could gather, the art from local artists on the walls. She described the scent of fresh sourdough and the sound of classical music playing softly in the background. When she finished, she passed the notebook back to Nathan, suddenly self-conscious. "It's silly, probably." Nathan read her words, his expression unreadable. Then he tucked the notebook carefully into his jacket pocket next to his heart. "It's not silly at all. It's beautiful." He pulled out his wallet and placed several bills on the table, far more than the meal cost. "That's too much," Emma protested. "For the best last meal a man could ask for," he said with a small smile. He stood, wincing slightly, and put on his coat. "Thank you, Emma." Something about his formal goodbye felt too final. Before she could overthink it, Emma grabbed a napkin and scribbled her phone number. "Text me tomorrow, after your surgery, just so I know you're okay." Nathan looked surprised but took the napkin carefully, as if it were something precious. "I will." As he walked toward the door, Emma called after him. "Nathan, good luck tomorrow. I'll be thinking of you." He turned back, and for a moment, the weariness lifted from his face. "That might be just the luck I need." After he left, Diane approached, eyebrows raised. "Care to explain what that was about?" Emma shook her head, still processing the strange encounter herself. "Just a customer." "A customer who left $100 tip," Diane pointed out. Emma looked down at the money, stunned. There, beneath several 20s, was a $100 bill. "He's having heart surgery tomorrow." "And he spent his last night talking to you?" Diane shook her head. "There's a story there." "There's no story," Emma insisted, though she couldn't help glancing out the window, watching Nathan's tall figure disappear into a waiting town car. He was just lonely. That night, in her small apartment across town, Emma found herself unable to sleep. The rain continued to drum against her windows as she thought about Nathan Harrington and his 70-30 odds. She thought about his request to write down her dream, the way he'd tucked her words close to his heart. Had he been searching for something to live for, or simply a distraction from his fear? At 4:30 a.m., knowing he would be checking into the hospital, Emma sent a text to the number he'd given her. "The odds are in your favor. See you on the other side." She didn't expect a response, but one came moments later. "Your sandwich was better than any last meal had a right to be. Thank you for sharing your dream. Whatever happens, it mattered." Emma clutched her phone, struck by the weight of connecting with a stranger on what might be the last day of his life. She typed back, "It's not your last meal. Just the last one before your new beginning." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Finally, "I hope you're right." Emma went through her morning routine mechanically, opening the diner at 6 a.m. for the breakfast shift. As she served coffee and took orders, her mind kept returning to the hospital across town, to the operating room where Nathan Harrington's life hung in the balance. "You're distracted today," observed Roy, a truck driver who came in every Tuesday for the breakfast special. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Emma assured him, refilling his coffee. "Just thinking about someone." At noon, during her break, Emma checked her phone. No messages. The surgery would be underway by now, or perhaps already completed. She found herself whispering a small prayer. For a stranger who had, for one brief evening, seemed to truly see her. The day dragged on, busy enough to keep her moving, but not enough to fully distract her. By the time her shift ended at 3 p.m., there was still no word. Emma changed out of her uniform, trying to convince herself it didn't matter. Nathan Harrington had been a brief encounter, a ship passing in the night. Whatever happened to him, life would go on. She was halfway home when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. Emma's heart jumped as she opened the message. "Patient in recovery. Surgery successful. He's asking for the waitress." Emma stared at the text, uncertain who had sent it or how to respond. Before she could decide, another message came through. "This is Mira, Mr. Harrington's assistant. He insisted I find your number in his phone and contact you. He's heavily medicated but quite determined. Are you able to come to Memorial Hospital?" Emma hesitated only briefly before responding. "I can be there in 30 minutes." She redirected her bus route, butterflies swarming in her stomach. What was she doing? rushing to the bedside of a man she'd met only once. Yet something about their connection, brief but profound, pulled her forward. At the hospital, Emma gave Nathan's name at the information desk and was surprised to be immediately directed to a private wing. A serious-looking woman in a tailored suit approached as Emma stepped off the elevator. "You must be Emma," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Mira Chen, Mr. Harrington's personal assistant. Thank you for coming." "How is he?" Emma asked, suddenly nervous. The surgery went better than expected. They were able to remove the entire tumor without complications. Mira's professional demeanor softened slightly. "He's been asking for you since he regained consciousness. Rather insistently, in fact." She led Emma down a corridor to a private room. Through the doorway, Emma could see Nathan lying in the hospital bed, connected to various monitors, looking pale but undeniably alive. When he saw her, his face transformed with a smile that seemed to cost him considerable effort. "You came," he said, his voice raspy. Emma moved to his bedside, strangely moved by the sight of this powerful man rendered vulnerable. "I got a very official summons from your assistant." "Mira's the best," Nathan said, his words slightly slurred from medication. "Told her to find the waitress with the best turkey sandwich in the bakery dream." "You should be resting," Emma said gently. "Been resting. Been thinking." Nathan's hand found hers, his grip surprisingly strong. "You were right." "About what?" "Not my last meal. New beginning." His eyes, though clouded with medication, held hers intently. "Your dream. I want to make it real." Emma shook her head, confused. "Nathan, you're on some pretty serious pain medication right now." "Doesn't matter. Been thinking about it since last night. You wrote it down for me. I held on to it." His free hand moved to his chest, where the notebook would have been. "Gave me something to fight for on that table." "I'm glad," Emma said softly, "but you need to rest now." Nathan's grip tightened. "No, listen. I want to invest in your bakery. Make your dream happen." Emma stared at him, stunned. "You can't be serious." "Never been more serious," Nathan insisted, though his eyelids were growing heavy. "Also, should probably marry you." Emma's mouth fell open. "What?" "Makes sense," Nathan murmured, sleep clearly overtaking him. "Best turkey sandwich. Beautiful dream. Kind eyes. Why not get married?" Before Emma could formulate a response to this medication-induced proposal, Nathan had drifted off to sleep, his hand still holding hers. Mira cleared her throat from the doorway. "He's been saying similar things since he woke up. The doctors assure me it's just the anesthesia and pain medication. He likely won't remember any of this." Emma gently extricated her hand from Nathan's grasp. "Of course. I understand." "Still," Mira said thoughtfully, "in the 3 years I've worked for Mr. Harrington, I've never seen him like this with anyone." "We barely know each other," Emma pointed out. "We talked for maybe half an hour." Mira nodded, which makes his reaction all the more interesting. She handed Emma a business card. "He'll be hospitalized for at least a week. If you'd like to visit again, when he's more lucid, please call me directly." Emma took the card automatically, still processing the surreal turn of events. "I should go." As she headed toward the elevator, Emma glanced back at Nathan's room one last time. Despite the machines and the clinical setting, he looked peaceful now, the weight of tomorrow temporarily lifted from his shoulders. She thought about his impulsive offer to fund her bakery, his even more impulsive marriage proposal. By tomorrow, he wouldn't remember either. Yet something had drawn him to share his last pre-surgery moments with her, just as something had drawn her to his hospital room today. Emma tucked Mira's card into her pocket, uncertain if she would use it but unwilling to throw it away. As the elevator doors closed, she realized she was smiling. Whatever happened next, for one extraordinary day, her simple kindness had mattered to someone who had everything, except perhaps what he needed most. 3 days passed before Emma gathered the courage to call the number on Mira's business card. Each shift at the diner had felt strangely hollow, her thoughts repeatedly drifting to the man in the hospital bed who had proposed marriage in a medication-induced haze. She had almost convinced herself to forget the entire incident when Roy, her regular truck driver customer, asked if she'd heard any news about that someone she'd been worried about. "I haven't," Emma admitted, refilling his coffee, "but I should probably check." When her shift ended, Emma sat in the break room and dialed Mira's number, her heart beating unexpectedly fast. "Chen speaking," came the crisp answer. "Hi, this is Emma Collins. From the diner? I was calling to check on Nathan, Mr. Harrington." There was a brief pause. "Ms. Collins, I was beginning to think we wouldn't hear from you." "I didn't want to intrude," Emma explained. "How is he?" "Recovering well. Ahead of schedule, actually. The doctors are quite pleased." Mira's professional tone softened slightly. "He's been asking about you." Emma felt her cheeks warm. "He remembers me?" "Very clearly. Would you be willing to visit? He's much more lucid now." 2 hours later, Emma found herself back at Memorial Hospital, clutching a paper bag containing a turkey sandwich. She had debated bringing flowers or a card, but somehow the sandwich felt right, a reminder of their first meeting. When she reached Nathan's private room, she hesitated in the doorway. He was sitting up in bed, scrolling through his phone, looking far more alert than before. The machines were gone, replaced by a single IV stand. Despite the hospital gown and the pallor of his skin, he seemed more like the commanding presence she'd first encountered at the diner. He looked up, and his expression transformed into a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Emma." "Hi," she said, suddenly shy. "I brought you something." She held up the bag. "Not hospital food, at least." Nathan set aside his phone. "A humanitarian mission. Come in." As Emma approached the bed, she noticed details she'd missed before. The flecks of gray at his temples, the faint lines around his eyes that deepened when he smiled. He looked younger than she'd initially thought, perhaps in his late 30s. "How are you feeling?" she asked, setting the sandwich on his tray table. "Like someone performed open-heart surgery on me," Nathan replied with dry humor. "But better every day." He gestured to the chair beside his bed. "Please, sit. I've been hoping you'd come." Emma sat, smoothing her skirt nervously. "I wasn't sure if you'd want visitors, or if I'd remember you." Nathan's gaze was direct, slightly amused. Emma felt her face flush. "Mira mentioned you were heavily medicated when I visited before." "I was," Nathan acknowledged, "but not so medicated that I'd forget the waitress who gave me something to live for." He unwrapped the sandwich, a smile playing at his lips, though I'm told I made some rather presumptuous statements. "You might have mentioned marriage," Emma said lightly, trying to match his tone. Nathan winced. "Mira told me. I'd apologize, but apparently the drugs were just accelerating my normal impulsiveness." He took a bite of the sandwich. "Still perfect." "The secret's in the herb mayo," Emma reminded him. "So you said." Nathan studied her face. "What brings you back, Emma? Curiosity? Charity case? Or checking if a millionaire's investment offer was legitimate?" The directness of his question caught her off guard. "I wanted to know if you were okay," she said honestly. "We may have only talked for half an hour, but it mattered to me." Something in Nathan's expression softened. "It mattered to me, too. More than you know." He set down the sandwich. "I read what you wrote in my notebook at least a dozen times before surgery, your bakery dream. It was like a window into a world where things matter, for reasons beyond profit margins and market shares." Emma wasn't sure how to respond to the unexpected vulnerability in his voice. "It's just a silly dream." "No," Nathan said firmly, "it's not silly at all. It's real. It's human. And I meant what I said about wanting to invest in it." Emma shook her head. "You don't even know me." "I know enough," Nathan countered. "I know you work double shifts to put your sister through nursing school. I know you make the best turkey sandwich in the city. I know you give up your breaks to sit with lonely strangers and write down your dreams for them. That's hardly a basis for a business partnership," Emma pointed out. Nathan's mouth quirked up at one corner. I've made multi-million-dollar deals based on less. An unexpected laugh escaped Emma. You're impossible. I'm persistent, Nathan corrected. Useful quality in business. And in life. His expression grew more serious. Facing mortality has a way of clarifying priorities, Emma. I've spent 10 years building an empire that nobody visited me in the hospital to check on, except my assistant who's paid to care. And me, Emma said softly. And you. Nathan's eyes held hers. A woman who had every reason to dismiss our meeting as a strange encounter and get on with her life. Yet, here you are. A nurse interrupted them, coming in to check Nathan's vitals and medication. Emma used the moment to collect her thoughts, unsettled by the intensity of their conversation and the directness of Nathan's gaze. When they were alone again, Nathan shifted topics. Tell me more about your sister, the nursing student. Grateful for the change of subject, Emma told him about Lily, 5 years younger and determined to become a pediatric nurse. She described their close relationship since their parents' death, how they'd leaned on each other through the difficult years. She sounds remarkable, Nathan said when Emma finished. Like her sister. She's the smart one, Emma demurred. I'm just the stubborn one who wouldn't let her drop out of school when money got tight. That's not just anything, Nathan said quietly. That's everything. An orderly arrived with Nathan's dinner tray, and Emma realized with surprise that an hour had passed. I should let you rest, she said, rising from her chair. Will you come back? Nathan asked, making no move toward the hospital food. Tomorrow, perhaps. Emma hesitated. I have the early shift. I could stop by after, around 3. I'll be here, Nathan said with a wry smile. Doctor's orders. As Emma turned to leave, Nathan called after her. Emma, thank you for the sandwich. And for coming back. She smiled. Get some rest, Nathan. Outside the hospital, Emma found herself confused by her own feelings. She barely knew this man, yet their conversations felt more genuine than relationships she'd spent months cultivating. Was it just the unique circumstances of their meeting? The raw honesty that often emerges in moments of crisis? Or something more? Her phone buzzed with a text from her sister. Dinner tonight? Got big news from school. Emma pushed thoughts of Nathan aside and headed to the small apartment she shared with Lily. The big news turned out to be Lily's acceptance into a competitive clinical placement program. It's at Memorial Hospital, Lily exclaimed over their modest celebration dinner of pasta. Best training in the state. Memorial? Emma repeated, the coincidence striking her. That's amazing, Lily. What's wrong? Lily asked, noticing her sister's distraction. You've been quiet all evening. Emma hesitated, then told Lily about Nathan, the late-night diner visit, the surgery, his proposal and investment offer. Lily's eyes widened. A millionaire wants to invest in your bakery? After one conversation? It's crazy, right? Emma said. He was probably just feeling emotional after surgery. Or, Lily suggested, near-death experiences have a way of cutting through the nonsense. Maybe he recognized something special in you that the rest of us already see. Emma rolled her eyes. Now you sound like him. I like him already, Lily declared. When can I meet this mysterious benefactor? Never, probably, Emma said, though even as she spoke, she knew she would return to the hospital the next day, as promised. True to her word, Emma arrived at Memorial shortly after 3 the following afternoon. She found Nathan sitting in a chair by the window, dressed in pajama pants and a t-shirt rather than a hospital gown, a small but significant step toward normalcy. You came back, he said, pleasure evident in his voice. I said I would. Emma handed him a small bag. Blueberry muffin. I baked it this morning. Nathan accepted it with raised eyebrows. You bake for the diner too? No, just at home sometimes. Stress relief. He took a bite and closed his eyes appreciatively. Now I'm even more convinced about investing in your bakery. Emma laughed, settling into the chair opposite him. You're nothing if not persistent. How was your shift? Nathan asked, finishing the muffin. The simple question caught Emma off guard. It had been a long time since anyone had asked about her day with genuine interest. She found herself telling him about Roy's complaints about gas prices, about the young couple who had gotten engaged over pancakes, about Diane's ongoing battle with the cappuccino machine. Nathan listened attentively, asking questions and laughing in all the right places. When she finished, he said, "You see people, Emma, really see them. It's a rare quality." "It's just part of the job," she demurred. "No, it's part of who you are," Nathan countered. "Like the way you saw me that night. Not just a demanding customer, but someone who needed connection." Their eyes met, and Emma felt a flutter of something unfamiliar. Not quite attraction, though Nathan was certainly handsome, but a sense of being truly seen and understood. The moment was interrupted by Mira, who entered carrying a leather portfolio. "Sorry to interrupt, but I have the documents you requested, Mr. Harrington." Nathan nodded. "Thank you, Mira. Would you give us a moment?" After Mira left, Nathan turned back to Emma. "I have a proposition for you. If it involves marriage, I think we should at least have dinner first," Emma joked, trying to lighten the sudden seriousness of his expression. Nathan smiled. "Fair point. The proposal stays on hold for now." He opened the portfolio and removed several papers. "This is about your bakery." Emma's smile faded. "Nathan, I was kidding about." "Hear me out," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "I've had Mira research commercial real estate in the downtown area. There's a corner space available 3 blocks from the diner. Good foot traffic, south-facing windows for that morning light you mentioned." Emma stared at him, speechless. "I'm prepared to offer full funding for startup costs, renovation, equipment, everything you need," Nathan continued, "in exchange for a minority stake in the business. You would have complete creative control." "Why?" Emma finally managed. "Why would you do this?" Nathan set the papers aside. "The practical answer? I believe in diversifying investments, and small businesses with passionate owners often outperform corporate ventures in local markets. And the impractical answer?" Nathan's expression softened. "Because when I was lying on that operating table, counting backward from 10, I wasn't thinking about property acquisitions or stock portfolios. I was thinking about a small bakery filled with sunlight and the smell of sourdough bread. I was thinking about someone who cared enough to write down her dream for a stranger." Emma shook her head, overwhelmed. "This is crazy. We barely know each other." "Then let's change that," Nathan suggested. "I'm being discharged tomorrow. Have dinner with me. A proper dinner. Not hospital food or midnight sandwiches. No business talk, no proposals of any kind. Just 2 people getting to know each other." Emma hesitated. "I don't know, Nathan. This all feels fast." "Life is fast," Nathan said quietly. "My surgeon told me if I'd waited another month for those tests, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Some opportunities don't come around twice." Their eyes met, and Emma felt the weight of his words. "Okay," she agreed finally. "Dinner. But somewhere normal. Not some fancy place where I'll need to Google the menu items." Nathan's face lit up with a genuine smile. "I know just the place." The following evening, Emma found herself sitting across from Nathan at a small Italian restaurant tucked away on a side street. The space was warm and inviting, with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. Nathan had been discharged that morning, and despite the major surgery just days earlier, insisted he felt well enough for their dinner. "My grandmother used to bring me here when I was a kid," Nathan explained as they settled into their seats. "Before she passed away, and before I became—" He gestured vaguely at himself. "A millionaire real estate mogul?" Emma supplied with a small smile. "Something like that." Nathan looked different outside the hospital. More substantial somehow, despite the careful way he moved, mindful of his healing chest. He wore a simple button-down shirt and slacks, deliberately casual, Emma suspected, for her comfort. As they studied the menus, Emma noticed the owner greeting Nathan warmly, clasping his hand and speaking rapidly in Italian. Nathan responded in the same language, his accent impressively authentic. "You speak Italian?" Emma asked after the owner left. "My grandmother taught me," Nathan explained. "She believed in preserving heritage, even as my father pushed for assimilation. To forget where you come from is to lose part of yourself," she used to say. Throughout dinner, Emma learned more about Nathan's background. his childhood in a middle-class neighborhood, his father's relentless drive for success, his grandmother's counterbalancing influence. He described building his first property development at 27, the risks he'd taken, the lessons learned through failure before success. In turn, Emma shared stories of her own life, her childhood in a small town, her art scholarship to college, the sudden responsibility of raising Lily after their parents' accident. She described her love of baking, inherited from her mother, and how creating something with her hands connected her to memories she feared losing. "Is that why the bakery is so important?" Nathan asked. "A connection to your past?" Emma considered this. "Partly, but it's also about the future. Creating something lasting, something that brings people together. Like your community table," Nathan recalled from her written description. Emma smiled, surprised and touched that he remembered that detail. "Exactly. In the diner, I see so many people eating alone, staring at their phones. I want a place where that's not the default, where connection is built into the experience." As they shared tiramisu for dessert, Nathan said, "Tell me something no one knows about you." Emma laughed. "That's a heavy request for a first date." "Is that what this is?" Nathan asked, his eyes twinkling. "A date? Isn't it?" Emma countered, surprising herself with her boldness. Nathan's expression softened. "I'd like it to be." Emma looked down at her dessert, gathering courage. "Okay, something no one knows. I still paint. Not often, and not well anymore, but sometimes when I can't sleep. I set up a small easel in the bathroom because the light is best there." "The bathroom?" Nathan repeated, amused. "Tiny apartment," Emma reminded him. "What about you? Tell me something no one knows about Nathan Harrington." Nathan was quiet for a moment. "I almost walked away from everything last year. The company, the properties, all of it. I was in Tokyo, closing a major hotel acquisition, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time I'd felt genuinely happy." "What stopped you?" "Inertia, mostly," Nathan admitted. "The weight of expectations. My own, my father's ghost. It's not easy to walk away from an identity you've spent a decade building, even when it stops fitting." "And now?" Emma asked softly. "After the surgery?" Nathan met her eyes. "Now I'm questioning everything." Which is terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. After dinner, Nathan insisted on walking Emma to her bus stop despite his recent surgery. The night air was cool, and Emma was acutely aware of his presence beside her. The careful distance he maintained, respectful yet attentive. "I had a wonderful time," she said as they reached the stop. "As did I." Nathan hesitated, then said, "Emma, about the bakery proposal." "Nathan," she interrupted gently, "you promised. No business talk tonight." He smiled ruefully. "You're right. I did promise." His expression grew more serious. "But will you at least think about it? Not for my sake, but for yours. Dreams deserve a chance to become reality." The bus appeared around the corner, its headlights cutting through the evening darkness. Emma impulsively reached for Nathan's hand, giving it a quick squeeze. "I'll think about it. That's all I can promise right now." Nathan nodded, understanding in his eyes. "That's all I'm asking." As Emma boarded the bus, she turned back to see Nathan watching her, a solitary figure on the sidewalk. He raised his hand in farewell, and she returned the gesture, feeling as though something significant had shifted between them. No longer strangers bound by an unusual circumstance, but two people choosing to walk towards something new together. The next morning at the diner, Emma moved through her shift with uncharacteristic distraction. Twice she mixed up orders, and once she nearly poured coffee into a customer's water glass. "Earth to Emma," Diane said, waving a hand in front of her face. "Where are you today?" "Sorry," Emma said, refocusing. "Just thinking." "About that fancy man who's been coming around?" Diane asked shrewdly. One of the other waitresses had seen Nathan dropping Emma at the bus stop the previous night, and the gossip had spread quickly through the diner staff. "He's not fancy," Emma protested. "He's just rich, handsome, clearly interested in you." Diane supplied with a knowing smile. Before Emma could respond, the diner door opened and Mira Chen entered, looking as impeccably professional as always in a tailored pantsuit. She scanned the diner and approached the counter where Emma stood. "Ms. Collins," she greeted formally, "may I speak with you privately for a moment?" Diane raised her eyebrows but moved away, giving them space while remaining within earshot. "Is Nathan okay?" Emma asked immediately, concern rising. "Mr. Harrington is fine," Mira assured her. "He asked me to deliver this to you." She handed Emma a large envelope. "And to answer any questions you might have." Emma accepted the envelope warily. "What is it?" "The bakery proposal," Mira explained. "Formally drafted. Mr. Harrington wanted you to have time to review it thoroughly, without pressure." Emma stared at the envelope, conflicted emotions washing over her. "I don't know what to say." "You don't need to say anything right now," Mira said. "Take your time. Review the documents. Consult a lawyer if you wish. Mr. Harrington insists on it, actually." "This is all happening so fast," Emma murmured. Something in Mira's professional demeanor softened slightly. "May I speak candidly, Miss Collins?" Emma nodded. "I've worked for Mr. Harrington for 3 years. In that time, I've never seen him so animated about anything that wasn't a building acquisition. Whatever happened between you two that night at the diner, it changed something fundamental for him." Emma searched Mira's face. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because while my loyalty is to Mr. Harrington, I believe his interest in your bakery, and in you, comes from a genuine place." Mira handed Emma a business card. "This is the contact information for a reputable business attorney who can review the proposal independently. Mr. Harrington has arranged to cover any consultation fees, no strings attached." For 3 days, the sealed envelope sat untouched on Emma's kitchen counter. She moved around it like it was a living thing, making coffee, preparing meals, all while feeling its presence in the room. Lily had urged her to open it the moment she brought it home. "You're being ridiculous," Lily insisted over breakfast on the 4th day. "Either open it or throw it away, but stop orbiting it like it's going to explode." Emma sighed, pushing her cereal around the bowl. "It's complicated." "It's really not," Lily countered. "A successful businessman wants to invest in your dream. The dream you've had since before Mom and Dad died. The dream you put on hold to raise me." She reached across the table to squeeze Emma's hand. "Maybe the universe is finally paying you back." "That's not how the universe works," Emma said, but she smiled despite herself. "How would you know? You've never had a millionaire offer to make your dreams come true before." Lily stood and grabbed her nursing textbook. "I have class. When I get home, either that envelope is opened, or I'm opening it myself." After Lily left, Emma sat alone with her cooling coffee and the pristine envelope. She hadn't spoken to Nathan since their dinner 4 nights ago, though he'd sent a simple text the following day. "No pressure. Take all the time you need." His patience only made the decision harder. If he'd pushed, she could have easily dismissed the offer as another rich man's impulsive gesture. But his restraint suggested something more thoughtful, and therefore more terrifying. With a decisive movement, Emma reached for the envelope and tore it open. Inside was a professionally bound document, along with a handwritten note on heavy stationery. "Emma, these papers represent possibility, not obligation. Whatever you decide, I'm grateful for the turkey sandwich and the reminder of what matters. Nathan." Emma spent the next hour reading through the proposal. The terms were surprisingly straightforward. Nathan would provide full startup capital for the bakery, space, renovations, equipment, initial operating costs, in exchange for a 30% ownership stake. Emma would maintain creative control and day-to-day management. Profits would be shared proportionally after expenses, with a provision that Emma could buy out Nathan's share over time if she chose. The location was exactly as he'd described, a corner space with south-facing windows, just blocks from the diner. The proposed name, Blue Ink Bakery, made her pause, wondering about the significance until she remembered mentioning her mother's blue fountain pen that she'd inherited. He'd been listening, really listening. Emma set down the papers and picked up her phone. After a moment's hesitation, she texted Nathan, "I read the proposal. Can we talk?" His response came immediately. Name the time and place. They met that afternoon at a small coffee shop midway between Emma's apartment and Nathan's home, neutral territory. Emma arrived first, claiming a quiet corner table. When Nathan walked in, she was struck by how different he looked from their first meeting. Though still moving carefully from his surgery, there was a vitality about him that had been missing that rainy night at the diner. "Thank you for meeting me," he said, settling into the chair across from her. "How are you?" "Overwhelmed," Emma admitted. "I read your proposal." Nathan nodded, his expression carefully neutral. "And?" "It's very generous. But?" Emma took a deep breath. "I need to understand why. And don't give me the business diversification answer again." Nathan was quiet for a moment, considering. Have you ever had a moment where everything suddenly comes into focus, where you see your life with perfect clarity? "When my parents died," Emma said softly, "suddenly all the things I thought mattered didn't." "That night at the diner was my moment," Nathan said, sitting there, facing a surgery I might not survive, looking at a life that looked perfect on paper but felt hollow in reality. He leaned forward slightly. "And then there was you, working a double shift, exhausted but still kind, still able to see me as a person, not a wallet or a connection." "I was just doing my job," Emma protested. "No," Nathan said firmly. "You went far beyond your job. You sat with me. You wrote down your dream because I asked. You gave me something to hold on to when I needed it most." Emma felt her cheeks warm under his intensity. "That still doesn't explain the bakery investment, doesn't it?" Nathan smiled slightly. "When I woke up from surgery, I made a promise to myself. If I got a second chance at life, I wouldn't waste it building empty things. I would invest in something real, something with heart. And you think my bakery is that something?" "I think you are," Nathan said simply. "The bakery is just the vehicle." Emma looked down at her coffee, processing his words. "What if it fails? Businesses fail all the time." "Then we'll have tried something worthwhile," Nathan shrugged. "I've made riskier investments for less meaningful reasons. What would your business associates say about this? Investing in a small bakery run by a waitress with no formal training?" "They'd say I've lost my mind," Nathan acknowledged with a wry smile. "But they've been saying that since I woke up in the hospital talking about turkey sandwiches and bakery dreams. Some things matter more than conventional wisdom." Emma studied his face, searching for any sign of insincerity. She found none. "I need time," she said finally. "And I need to talk to that lawyer." "Of course," Nathan agreed immediately. "Take all the time you need. The offer doesn't expire." As they prepared to leave, Nathan hesitated. "There is one thing, though." "What's that?" "Would you have dinner with me again? Not to discuss the proposal, just dinner." Emma found herself smiling. "I'd like that." Over the next 2 weeks, Emma met with the business attorney Nathan had recommended, studied the proposal in detail, and sketched preliminary designs for the bakery. But she also had dinner with Nathan 3 times. Each evening revealed new layers of the man behind the Millionaire facade. She learned about his passion for architectural history, his collection of first-edition mystery novels, his volunteer work teaching financial literacy in underserved schools. He, in turn, discovered her love of Impressionist painting, her secret talent for terrible puns, her dream of someday visiting the small French village where her grandmother was born. After their 4th dinner, Nathan walked Emma to her bus stop as usual. But this time, as the bus approached, Emma made a spontaneous decision. "Don't come by the diner tomorrow," she said. Nathan's face fell slightly. "I understand. If you need space." "No," Emma interrupted. "Meet me at the corner space instead. 10 in the morning." His expression brightened with understanding. "The bakery location?" Emma nodded. "I want to see it before I decide." The following morning, Emma arrived at the address from the proposal to find Nathan already waiting, leaning against his car. He straightened when he saw her, a restrained eagerness in his movements. "Good morning," he greeted her. "Ready to take a look?" The space was currently empty, a former bookstore with tall windows and wooden floors worn smooth by years of foot traffic. Emma walked slowly through the open area, envisioning display cases, customer tables, the counter where she would greet people each morning. The kitchen would be there, Nathan said, indicating the back area. It would need renovation, of course. New ovens. Proper ventilation. Emma nodded, mentally placing equipment, imagining workflow patterns. The morning light streamed through the windows, creating pools of warmth on the wooden floor. It gets the best light between 7 and 11, Nathan commented. Prime bakery hours. Emma turned to face him. You really researched this. I wanted to get it right, he said simply. Emma continued exploring, noting the small office in the back, the storage area, the bathroom that would need updating. Throughout her examination, Nathan remained quiet, letting her process the space in her own way. Finally, she stopped in the center of the main room, turning slowly to take in the entire space. It's perfect, she admitted quietly. Nathan's expression warmed. I thought so too. But I'm still scared, Emma confessed. This is a huge step. What if I'm not ready? What if I fail? Nathan approached her, stopping at a respectful distance. Can I tell you something my grandmother used to say? Fear is just excitement without the breath. She believed the same physical response could be interpreted differently, depending on how you framed it. So I'm not terrified? I'm just breathlessly excited? Emma asked skeptically. Maybe a bit of both, Nathan acknowledged with a smile. But consider this. You've been ready for this for years. You just never had the opportunity. Emma looked around the space again, allowing herself to truly envision it as her bakery. I would want to paint the walls a warm cream color, and maybe install some hanging planters in the windows. Whatever you want, Nathan said. It would be your space. Our space, Emma corrected, making her decision in that moment. If we're partners. Nathan's face lit up. Does that mean yes? It means I'll sign the papers, Emma confirmed. But I have conditions. Name them. First, I keep working at the diner until the bakery is established. I need the income, and I need the safety net. Nathan nodded. Sensible. Second, we establish clear boundaries between the business partnership and whatever else is happening between us. Emma felt her cheeks warm, but continued. If the personal side doesn't work out, the business arrangement still needs to function. Agreed, Nathan said, though I hope the personal side does work out. Third, Emma continued, ignoring his comment though it made her heart flutter. I want a clause that lets me buy out your share over time as the business becomes profitable. Already in the contract, Nathan confirmed. Anything else? Emma took a deep breath. Yes. I want you involved in more than just the financial side. Your design sense, your business experience. I want a true partnership. This request seemed to surprise and please Nathan. I was hoping you'd say that. 1 month later, renovations on Blue Ink Bakery were underway. Emma continued her shifts at the diner, but now with a newfound energy. Every free moment was spent planning menus, sourcing ingredients, designing logos, and working with contractors alongside Nathan. To Emma's surprise, Nathan approached the project with a hands-on enthusiasm she hadn't expected from someone of his position. He showed up at contractor meetings in work clothes, ready to review plans and ask detailed questions. He spent weekends researching commercial ovens and refrigeration systems. When Emma mentioned wanting to incorporate reclaimed wood for the countertops, he found a local craftsman specializing in repurposed materials. You don't have to be this involved, Emma told him one evening as they sat amid paint samples and floor plans in his living room. I'm sure you have more important business matters. Nathan looked up from the lighting catalog he was studying. Nothing more important than this. The simple sincerity of his statement caught Emma off guard. Over the weeks of working together, their relationship had evolved into something neither had fully defined, beyond friendship, but carefully maintained within professional boundaries during bakery discussions. They still had dinner together regularly, moments where the business partnership was set aside in favor of personal connection. Emma was saved from responding by her phone ringing, Lily asking when she'd be home. I should go, Emma said, gathering her notes. Early shift tomorrow. Nathan walked her to the door. Emma, he said as she was leaving, I meant what I said. There's nothing more important to me than this, than seeing you build your dream. Emma hesitated, then impulsively rose on tiptoes to kiss his cheek. Thank you, she whispered, then hurried to the waiting rideshare before she could see his reaction. The next morning at the diner, Emma was serving the breakfast rush when the bell above the door chimed. She looked up to see Nathan entering, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater. It was the first time he'd come to the diner since their initial meeting. "This seat taken?" he asked, sliding onto a stool at the counter. Emma raised an eyebrow. "What are you doing here?" "Having breakfast," Nathan replied innocently. "I heard the pancakes are excellent." "They are," Emma confirmed, pouring him coffee without asking. "But you have a chef at home." "Maybe I wanted to see where it all began," Nathan said, his eyes holding hers. "Ground zero for life-changing turkey sandwiches." Emma rolled her eyes, but she was smiling as she turned to put in his order. Throughout her shift, she was aware of Nathan's presence at the counter, chatting easily with other regulars, observing the flow of the diner with interested eyes. When Roy came in for his usual breakfast, Nathan engaged him in conversation about cross-country trucking routes. "Your fella's a good listener," Roy commented to Emma later. "Not what you'd expect from a big shot." "He's not my fella," Emma protested automatically. Roy just chuckled. "Sure looks like it from where I'm sitting." When her shift ended, Emma found Nathan waiting outside. "Thought you might want to see the progress at the bakery," he suggested. "The new floors went in yesterday." They walked the few blocks together, falling into the easy rhythm they'd developed over weeks of collaboration. At the bakery, Emma gasped when she entered. The transformation was already visible. New wooden floors gleaming in the sunlight, walls freshly painted in the warm cream she'd selected, the beginning framework of display cases along one wall. "It's really happening," she breathed, turning slowly to take it all in. "It really is," Nathan agreed, watching her face with evident pleasure. Emma wandered through the space, running her hand along the partially completed counter, envisioning customers lined up for fresh bread and pastries. "The kitchen equipment arrives next week," Nathan said. "And I found those vintage pendant lights you liked for above the community table." Emma turned to face him, suddenly overwhelmed by the reality of what was happening. Her dream materializing before her eyes because this man had walked into her diner on a rainy night. "Why me, Nathan?" she asked quietly. "Out of all the people you could have connected with, all the businesses you could have invested in, why my bakery? Why me?" Nathan was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. "When I was lying on that operating table," he said finally, "the surgeon asked me to count backward from 10. I made it to 7 before the anesthesia took hold. But in those moments, my mind wasn't on my company or my properties or my achievements. It was on regrets, connections not made, chances not taken, a life constructed around acquisition rather than meaning." He moved closer to Emma, his eyes never leaving hers. "When I woke up, the first thing I remembered was the way you looked at me in the diner, not as a wealthy man or a potential tip, but as a human being having a hard day. The way you wrote down your dream for a stranger because he asked. The way you promised to text me after surgery. Those are such small things," Emma whispered. "They're everything," Nathan countered. "They're the things I'd been missing without even knowing it." Emma felt the careful boundaries she'd established wavering. "What exactly are you saying, Nathan?" "I'm saying that investing in your bakery isn't just about business diversification or even about helping you achieve your dream. It's about being part of something real, something with heart." He took a breath. "And I'm saying that somewhere between that midnight sandwich and now, I've fallen in love with you." Emma stared at him, her heart racing. "Nathan, you don't need to say anything," he assured her quickly. "I know we agreed to keep the business and personal separate. I know you're focused on the bakery. I just needed you to know." Emma looked around at the half-completed bakery, her dream taking physical form, and then back at the man who had helped make it possible. The man who had listened when she spoke, who remembered the details of her life, who showed up consistently, not just with his checkbook but with his presence. "You've never actually taken me to your home," she said finally. Nathan blinked, clearly not expecting this response. "What?" "We've had dinner together multiple times. We've spent countless hours working on bakery plans. But you've never invited me to see where you live." "I thought—" Nathan hesitated. "I didn't want to intimidate you. My house is rather millionaire-ish?" Emma supplied with a small smile. "Something like that," Nathan acknowledged. "I'd like to see it," Emma said decisively. "Tonight. Cook dinner for me there." "Really?" Nathan's expression brightened. "I'm a terrible cook." "Then we'll cook together," Emma decided. "Partners, remember?" That evening, Emma arrived at Nathan's address, a restored Victorian mansion in the city's most exclusive neighborhood. She stood on the sidewalk for a moment, taking in the elegant facade, fighting a wave of inadequacy. This was so far removed from her tiny apartment, from the life she'd known. Before she could ring the bell, the door opened, and Nathan stood there in casual clothes, an apron tied around his waist. "I was watching for you," he admitted. "Come in." The interior of the house was both grander and more comfortable than Emma had imagined. High ceilings and original woodwork, but furnished with inviting couches and shelves overflowing with books. Art hung on the walls, not the ostentatious pieces she'd expected, but warm, vibrant canvases that reminded her of her own abandoned painting style. "This isn't what I expected," she confessed as Nathan gave her a tour. "What did you expect? Gold fixtures and marble statues?" He teased. "Something less lived in," Emma admitted. Nathan led her to the kitchen, a chef's dream of professional appliances and granite countertops, yet made welcoming with copper pots hanging above the island and fresh herbs growing in the window. "My grandmother would haunt me if I had a cold, sterile house," Nathan explained as he handed Emma an apron. She believed homes should have soul. As they prepared dinner together, a simple pasta dish with ingredients Nathan had carefully shopped for, Emma felt the last of her reservations melting away. This man, with all his wealth and power, was chopping garlic beside her, asking for her guidance, laughing when he splashed sauce on his shirt. Over dinner, Emma finally addressed what Nathan had said earlier at the bakery. "Did you mean it? About falling in love with me?" Nathan met her eyes across the table. Every word. Emma took a deep breath. "I need you to understand something. I've spent the last 10 years being self-sufficient, putting Lily through school, working double shifts, never letting anyone help me carry the load. It's not easy for me to accept help, let alone feelings." "I know," Nathan said quietly. "It's one of the things I admire most about you." "But," Emma continued, "somewhere between that midnight sandwich and now, I think I've fallen in love with you too." The smile that spread across Nathan's face was unlike any she'd seen before, unguarded, radiant with joy. He reached across the table for her hand, and she gave it willingly. "So what happens now?" he asked, his thumb tracing patterns on her palm. Emma smiled. "Now we finish the bakery, together, and see where this leads." "I already know where I hope it leads," Nathan said, his eyes warm with promise. "One step at a time, millionaire," Emma teased, but she didn't pull her hand away. Later, as Nathan walked her to her waiting rideshare, he paused at the door. "Emma, about what I said in the hospital under medication. The marriage proposal?" Emma recalled with a smile. "Yes, that." Nathan looked slightly embarrassed. "It was presumptuous and premature. And drug-induced," Emma added helpfully. "That too," Nathan acknowledged. "But I want you to know, while the timing and delivery were ridiculous, the feeling behind it wasn't." Emma studied his face in the soft porch light. "Are you proposing again?" "No," Nathan said quickly. "Definitely not. Not yet, anyway. I'm just saying, I could see it. Someday. With you." Emma rose on her tiptoes and for the first time, kissed him properly. A gentle, lingering kiss full of promise. "Someday," she agreed softly. "After we see if you can handle working for a demanding baker." Nathan laughed, pulling her close for another kiss. "I look forward to the challenge." Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.